Yeah, what's up YouTube? Tigz here, bringing you guys another Escape from Tarkov video. It's been a while since I last uploaded, around 2 months, so here's a new one for you. Obviously by the title you can see top 5 changes that are coming to Tarkov with this next wipe. I'm going to go through a list of things that I think are probably the most crucial things that will be changing in the next wipe, and things that I'm also excited for. So first of all, we're going to be starting straight away with the biggest one in the room, which I think is the Fen and Raid system. As you guys know, if you've been playing this wipe, there's no Fen and Raid in the game right now. Now, some items still exist with Fen and Raid for like ammo and other gear as restrictions. This purely is only in the game due to balance reasons. They've kept some items restricted to stop the game from being completely unbalanced, because some items being able to trade it through the flea market would break the game in a certain sense. For example, M61 and high tier bullets and the best in slot stuff, basically, right? Those have been restricted, but as you guys can see, for some of the guys that have been away from the game for a while now, let's see if I got something non-Fen and Raid. So I've got a non-Fen and Raid stim right here, right? Grab this stim, and I can scroll down, and I can just sell it on the flea market. So what does this do? This changes the game dynamic pretty, like, a lot. Not even just now, but even onto the next wipe, which I think is the most crucial time of when the no Fen and Raid system's been in the game. Because if you guys didn't know, they only changed this like a month and a half ago from now as a test, and the test was successful. Everybody really liked it, and it's actually been really good for the game in my opinion. And it's actually worked out really well with the new armor system, and in my opinion I don't think it's broke the game at all. I think it's actually benefited the game quite a lot, but we'll only really know how that's going to play out on a fresh wipe. Personally, I think it's going to be amazing. So why is this a good thing? So this means anytime you're playing the game, if you have an experience where you die with something good on you, for example, let's say you found a black key card, right? You died and you found a black key card and you put it in a container. Well, typically, if you died, you would not be able to sell this into the flea market. The only thing you'd be able to do is quick sell it to traders for cash. Now, the cash that you get for the quick sell isn't really that good, right? And if you're selling it on the flea market, it's a significant increase in value. Now, this is a bad example because this key actually does sell for quite a bit, but there's many items in the game that are affected by this. So obviously, it rewards people that are getting to the loot first, which means players that are actively moving in the raid are typically going to get the best loot on the map, which in my opinion, I think is healthy. Now, you could argue, you know, like spawn points make it a bit unfair, which is true, but that's the game that we play. Tarkov is a game full of RNG, and sometimes you're just going to, you know, draw the short straw, and that's how it is sometimes. And then you could also make an argument that being able to put stuff in your container and sell it on a flea market will make people hatchet run or bring in budget kits. In my opinion, people are already doing that anyway, and from my experience in playing this game this past 2 wipes, a lot of the people that do currently play Tarkov, the audience of people that play, are mainly ratty anyway, so your experience of dying to these people are going to be the same regardless. The premise of this is, it's making raids more profitable and more fun and more rewarding for playing. As before with the Fen and Raid system, if you died, the game doesn't respect your time, right? Anything that you found and put in your container is only worth it for quick sell to traders. Yes, it's okay, but to people that want to play the game and, you know, spend more time playing it, there's no respect of time there. Some people argue it's not hardcore, but in my opinion, I think for a collective of everyone that plays the game, I think it's better that people can make more money from gamma and stuff in their container. Now, that's a whole different debate and topic, but I think overall, I think it's more healthy for everyone in a circle, rather than, you know, the few scenarios where it's not worth it. And you could argue that it's bad for the game, right? Because I do see that. We have had this topic, but this is a completely different topic. Personally, in my opinion, I think it's great all around for everybody. Everybody wins from this. Like, for example, I'll give you a good example of this, right? Let's say you go and raid, you bought your best kit, you died to someone cheating, which is going to happen on this game. It happens a lot. Well, don't worry, because you found a LEDX and it's in your container, and you can sell it for full price on the flea market. That LEDX alone will probably cover the cost of the kit that you brought into the raid and lost to a gamer. That in itself is such a big quality of life for people that have limited time, and it also makes finding rare stuff more profitable, right? Which I think is good. As before, if it was like this and you died to the cheat with a LEDX or something, you're like, ah, okay, I got a LEDX, but it's not really worth that much. I didn't get my kit back. Now, you can apply that to all the different items in the game that you can gamma, and it's just going to make you feel a lot better, right, in these bad moments, which I think is good for the game. Because at the end of the day, I think Tarkov's hardcore regardless of the economy and all that side of things. It's just a hard game for most people. So, yeah, Fen and Raid, it's massive change. I think when the wipe comes, you're going to see a lot of people be able to farm money easily, which some people will be like, well, that's an issue, because if I can farm money easily, I can get better gear quickly. But in my opinion, with the nature of this game, I don't think it really works that way. The game is extremely hardcore, no matter how good you are, and you're always going to get got by someone not moving or better than you, and that's just the reality of the game. And it works both ways. You know, sometimes you may lose more, but maybe you're that guy. You're going to be the guy that's going to win more because you're the guy doing the thing to the other guys that are, you know, grabbing the loot. So overall, I think everyone wins in the cycle, which is really good about this system. And they've kept some restrictions there. Now, I don't know if what they plan to do with the restrictions next swipe, like M61, for example, and all of those bullets, because some items you cannot buy or resell on the flea market. Personally, I think it's probably better if it stays that way. I'm not really sure how they could balance that. That moves on to my next point. Overall, I would say frame rate is probably the biggest change. I think it's going to make the game a lot more enjoyable for everybody. And I'm really happy to see that it's been implemented into the game. And from what I've seen, everyone seems really happy with it. No one seems mad. At first people did, but now everyone seems really cool with it. So that's great. But this moves into my next topic, which I think is more important too, or just as important, the armor system. So if you guys didn't know, BSG made this new armor system with this wipe. It turned out to be a failure, clearly. Now, a lot of people will argue that realism and hardcore, the armor system the way it was before, was perfect. You would get one tap pretty much anywhere apart from the small hitbox of the chest if you had good armor on, and people really like that realism. Now, clearly, it wasn't the majority of the player base, because a lot of the player base were on the side of not liking armor. A lot of streamers like myself got a lot of flack for, I guess, pushing the agenda that the armor system's really bad, because I thought it was, and a lot of other people that I know that play this game, streamer and non-streamer, feel the exact same way. It just felt pointless to bring in good armor in this game, and it kind of defeats the purpose of ever progressing to get better gear if the armor is useless when you get to it, right? Because if that's the case, then why go for it at all? Why even progress? If the armor's useless at the top end, why even go for it? It's just an NFT at that point, right? Just a cosmetic you're wearing. And that's an issue, I think, in the game. And it also affects the dynamic of the way the game plays and just the gameplay loop in general. So they fixed that. Oh, did they fix it? So let me pull up this tweet. Here's what Nikita tweeted out prior to the update coming out. These were the hitboxes that were in the game before the rework. Now, currently, this is what we've got, which, by the way, 10 out of 10. It's really, really good. Armor is useful now. You have more meaningful fights. There is still insta-kill hitboxes, but they're very rare to get killed by. For example, the armpit, it's 2 spots you can get 1 tap by. Most of the time, you'll only die to this via scavs or AI, which I think is fine. I hate that players can hit that, but nowadays, they can't hit it anymore. I think it's really hard for a player to hit this. It's only usually AI that will get you there. But there is one more kill box that's, in my opinion, I don't think should still be in the game, but it's going to be there this wipe and next wipe, which is the neck hitbox. The neck hitbox serves as another head, basically. If you get shot here, you're dead. Makes sense realistically, but it's a video game, and that's what we play games for, right? It's for video games. But anyway, regardless of the point, this is the new rework. This was the old plate system. That's the front plate right there, and the stomach. There's your side plate, and as you can see right here, all of these areas are unprotected. So even if you wore the best in slot armor with like the highest plate tier, there's going to be all this area unprotected from even the worst type of bullets. So what that means is, when this armor system was in the game, high tier armor becomes useless, right? For the most part, under certain scenarios. Well, most scenarios, excluding a few times where you could be like, oh, well, it's good here. Most of the time, it's useless. And another thing was, it would allow people with bad bullets, which you could anyone can buy from the flea market in infinite supply, or from traders. It allowed bad bullets to be really, really effective against high tier armor. Now, if you're paying 300k for a really good armor, and you're dying to a bullet that costs 90 rubles, there's not really much balance there, right? It kind of makes no sense, and it goes back to what I said before. How does that make any sense? You're progressing through the game to unlock better gear, but the gear that you're unlocking is still getting outperformed by really cheap ammo. The way it used to work was, really expensive ammo would kill really good gear, and that way was a way better way of balancing the game. Back then, the issue with that was the devs couldn't figure out a way to balance the availability of good ammo and availability of good armor. Nowadays, it seems like they've got a better grasp on that, which I think is good. So now, moving forward, as you can see, I'll let it go around the back, and you'll be able to see the hitbox difference, right? But like, look at the difference straight away. This is like hardcore search and destroy on the right, and this is like normal Tarkov. You'll take a few bullets if you've got good armor, and you'll take a lot of bullets if you've got really good armor and the guy's got bad ammo. How do you counter that? You either aim for the head by having good aim on a first-person shooter, which most people do, right? We all know it's the kill box. Or you buy better penetrating ammo, or craft it through the hideout. And there is options out there for different calibers where you can still buy very good rounds, like 7.62 PP ammo, SVD ammo. There is still very good high penetration ammo that you can buy from the flea market to counter the guys with good gear. It's just people don't want to use those guns because they're forced to use a gun that has availability for the ammo rather than spending the time to craft it, right? But like I said, it's not always like that. You can just aim for the head and hit insta headshots and kill them. Or in the neck. So This is the new armor system, obviously. A lot of people will argue it's unrealistic, and each to their own, but I personally think it's better for everyone in the game, and obviously that's my bias, but I think overall, if people understand that better armor is good, more people will use that better armor, and the fights that you have in the game will become more about the experience rather than just winning for loot. And I think a lot of people miss that. A lot of people have missed the idea of this game is the experience and not just getting the loot. A lot of people really just focus on the loot in this game. Tarkov's so fun because of the experience of fighting people. Win or loss, right? If you're only focusing on like, oh yeah, I insta-killed this guy, I got his loot, nice, that's free money. That's how I feel like a lot of people have been for a long time. This new armor system showcases the rework, how much more fun the game can be when armor actually eats more bullets, and the fights are more meaningful. And whoever had the better aim, for example, right? Or if someone like brought in good bullets, it goes hand in hand with whatever you bring into raid, which I think overall is just really healthy for everything around the game. And it also adds more reason to use different things in the game too. Like I said with the armor, you've got now a plethora of different armors that you can use in the game that are effective. Like for example, the Balgari now is an amazing armor. Why? Because you can put tier 5 plates on the front and back, and you can put tier 5 plates on the side. I'm not too going to the hitboxes and how they work, but they're very simplified. That's the best way to put it. Another good example here is the Thor armor. This is one of the best armors in the game, unironically, if you have tier 6 plates. Now, by chance, you'll have never really seen people run this. Like, not with the tier 6 plates. You'll see people run this, but not with tier 6 plates. This armor is very good. Why? You can put tier 6 plates front and back and side. So if you're wearing this and you're in a fight with someone, you're going to tank a lot of bullets unless they've got high penetration ammo or they hit you in the head with good aim, which in my opinion rewards people better for having good aim on a first-person shooter, right? Or if you're just smart, you bring the better bullets, the higher pen ammo, and you're going to win regardless of the tier 6. But yeah, there are so many things now in the game that open up to this. I never really hoarded plates, and by the way, half of these are tier 6 plates that I've got stored here. So like these are some really good plates, and you might ask how did I get them? I got most of these plates from farming Kibba. If you guys didn't know, Kibba is actually really worth farming now. It spawns in a ton of tier 6 plates and tier 5. So if you are really trying to become really tanky in your raids when you're playing with friends and have your highest chance of survival, it's actually worth going to Interchange and farming that place, which I think is a really cool dynamic in itself. But that's a whole different story. But yeah, so literally all armors in the game now, excluding maybe a handful, are actually useful now. Like, no lie, they're really, really good. You could argue that most armors are good. You can use a defender, you can use a redo. The only armors that aren't good, and this is good advice, don't ever use a slick. These armors are still useless in my opinion. They don't give you any side protection here. So if you get shot in the side, you're probably going to insta-die regardless. These are the few armors in the game that were in the Riot, like, they were famous for being good. But nowadays, they're still bad because of the way their hitboxes are designed. They only protect 2 places, thorax and rear thorax. So that makes it not that great. Sure, you could argue in some circumstances it's decent, but in my opinion, it's a waste of time. Your goal in this game is to have full protection, front, side, and back. That's the goal, right? And especially if you can change that with different tier plates. And note, armor feels more like, it feels more important now when you play the game. If I kill someone, I'll grab his armor and be like, damn, what plates he got in it? If I don't like the armor, I can just take the plates out and put him on my next set of gear. I think that's a really cool idea too. And it adds like some freshness to the fights that you get from killing people, which I think is cool. But yeah, this is obviously all going to translate into the next wipe. I think you're going to see next wipe being a lot more fun early on with the fights because people are going to be able to tank more like bullets straight away, which I think will draw out the fights and make the interactions more funny. Because again, why do people like early wipe so much? Because the fights are drawn out. People don't have the best in slot gear, and you actually feel like you're having a fight with someone rather than just insta-killing them. So I feel like it's going to amplify that effect and make it more fun for everybody. Obviously, people who've got bad aim will always get upset and be like, oh, you know, he tanked too many bullets. This isn't realistic. Just aim for the head, bro. It's a first-person shooter, man. Worst case scenario, you can craft the best in slot ammo at some point in the future. It is early game for a reason, you know? But yeah, that's my take on the armor. Really excited to see how that's going to pan out in the next wipe. As of right now, I think it's one of the best changes alongside Fen and Raid. Okay, moving on now to my third thing that I think is going to be big for the game. Map-to-map travel is work in progress. Now, I'm not sure if we're going to see this next wipe. Personally, I think we will, because this wipe has been stalled for quite some time now. If you guys didn't know, wipe is in August, early August.
In early August, we will have 0.15 patch that will have a wipe.
So we still got a bit of time. Basically, for the guys that don't understand what this is, you'll either have the choice to extract from the raid, or you'll have the choice to travel to another map while you're inside the map. The only thing we don't know is the logistics, how that's going to work. Will you go back to the lobby? Will you just go into a new loading screen? Will it work the same as when you load a scav raid on streets and it gets you in with like a minute? Because if you guys have scav run, you know you get in raids very fast, right? Hopefully it works like that. That's what I'm thinking they'll do. So it's like you'll load into an already like half-used raid, which I think may be better for balance-wise. But overall, this is really good for like quality of life and questing. And hopefully it's going to be in more maps. Now, this was just a tease to streets. From what I've seen, it seems like he's also been teasing other areas of the map that you can travel to. I don't know how this is going to work. For me personally, this looks like woods. I don't know if we know 100%. There's a spot on woods near an extraction that is barren and it's just got one building. This looks like they're adding a whole new train station to woods that you can use to travel to other maps. Now, I may be incorrect on this, but that's what I would assume it's for. And I think they're trying to like put map-to-map travel inside every map with like car extractions, for example. So I feel like if that's the case, that's going to make the game feel a lot better when it comes to progressing through quests and stuff like that. And not having to go back to your stash. There was also another thing that I forgot to mention. In some scenarios, you're actually able to like deposit your loot and send it to the stash and stay in raid, just like the BTR with some of these extractions, which I think is really cool as well. So I think this is going to be a nice thing for the game, nice quality of life, and overall I think everyone will enjoy that for the most part. Okay, another big one now, PMC Karma. I don't really have any source to show you here, but I'll explain what Nikita said. Nikita said on the podcast that at some point in the future, he hasn't said if he's going to add it soon or later. He said it will just come and you won't know, unless data miners find out, which he already basically said they will. But basically what he said was, there'll be a PMC Karma system in the game that you cannot visibly see. It will be in the game, and what it will do is, it will encourage players to move more rather than camp. And what I mean by that is, it doesn't kill ratting. It just means if you're a person that likes to extra camp or rat in spots for long periods of time, there'll be a system in place that will like build up a reputation, I guess, in raid, where if you get to like a negative karma, there'll be a boss that will come and hunt you down and kill you. And then you'll build up this negative reputation, and the worse it is for you and your account. Now, I feel like a lot of people won't like this, but I feel like rats on Tarkov are already so dominant in the gameplay loop that I feel like it's a very good change for like giving the game map flow and not rewarding people that rat all the time, which I've got no problem with. I think ratting's really good for the game, but under the right circumstance. If everyone's doing it, it's really boring, right? But the mixture of playstyles makes the game unique and it adds to your experience. And although it is frustrating sometimes, it makes sense. Because let's be honest, if everybody ratted, no one would have fun. But if everyone ran around, no one would probably have fun either, because it's just the same old repeated loop over and over again. And if everybody extra camped, no one would have fun, right? So the mixture of playstyles, in my opinion, I think is what makes it fresh. Although sometimes it can be annoying. But yeah, that's pretty much the premise of PMC Karma. It's going to be a giant nerf to extract campers and people that probably rat. But yeah, he said there'll be a boss that hunts you down and kills you. So I'm on board. I'm on board. I like Ran. It's fun. But I feel like if people do it too much, and people know how to abuse it really well, like extracts, for example. So seeing that get nerfed, I think, is good. And then moving on, quality of life updates. Nikita's like tweeted out a bunch of quality of life updates that's coming to the game. I mean, you could argue that these aren't quality of life updates, but in my opinion, I feel like they are. He put a poll out recently, Lighthouse expansion, that was voted on. As you know, a lot of people don't really like this map. I would assume it'll be more of a quality of life update rather than a complete expansion. I feel like maybe that's not going to be the full thing, because the way Lighthouse is, it's just like one tunnel. I feel like if you're expanding that tunnel, it's not really going to make the map better. It's just going to make it feel worse. So I feel like it may be more of a quality of life, which leads to my next thing. I guess you could say the container. So they added a new container called Theta container. If you guys don't have Gamma and can't afford to buy EOD, which nowadays you can't because you have to buy Unheard Edition, which is even more expensive to get Gamma, I think. There is now an option to get the Theta container, which is one less slot than Gamma, as far as I know. And it is linked through arena quests through Tarkov. So you have to play Tarkov and arena, and eventually you'll get to unlock this container, which is less long-term grind than grinding for Kappa. Now, the clause here is, right, you have to play arena. If you don't like arena, then that makes sense. You're just going to skip it. But this option is great for people, and especially on a fresh wipe. So I think this is nice. It's nice little quality of life for people. Next is adding favorites. Nikita's like showcased many times, we'll be able to add favorites for gear. So it's going to be even easier to gear up. inside our stash. Here did also show on one of the podcasts a video of mannequins that you'll just be able to walk up to in your hideout. Has all your best gear on, you press a button and it equips it all. That's coming to the game as well. Those are massive quality of life things that I'm really looking forward to. And as you can see, there's other stuff here. Other quests, hideout. I don't really know what this is for. Add to favorites. So yeah, as you can see right here, you could add certain items for questing. So for example, the Untar helmet. You need that for a quest called Peacekeeping. You can favorite it and just equip it. Boom, it'll buy it for you. Bang. Those are really nice quality of life changes in my opinion. Another one here is the scope rework. You're going to be able to variably zoom your scope in and out. Personally, I'm not really too care too much on this, but I think it is cool and a nice quality of life overall for scopes, and I think a lot of people will really like this. Obviously, this is a work in progress, so it's going to be much better from now. But yeah, I think a lot of people will like that. It's another small quality of life. Another thing, factory is getting reworked. Now, the reason I add this in under quality of life is because factory is usually a very dark map, and recently they have removed the fog, so it looks a lot better. But I think the design is quite outdated. What they're showing here is basically a revamped version of the factory with new assets, which in my opinion, even though the map design's the same, it looks a lot better and might actually change the map play a little bit more, which I'm open to, because there might be new doorways or new things you can jump over or cut between, which I think is cool. So here's what the screenshots look like. And if you look up here, by the way, there is now a window that you can shoot from over into the other side, which wasn't there before. And now there's a new hole in the wall. So this little rework is also like kind of a quality of life, I guess, for the map, but it's just making it a little bit better to play and fresh. So I'm really happy to see this. So if you look up here where my mouse is, you can see that. So I'm sure there'll be more stuff like that. I'm hoping as well next wipe there's going to be some, well, I'm confident next wipe there'll be some sort of way to lock your container in the stash. So for example, where my thick cases are right now, I'd be able to right click and lock. So whenever I do auto sort, it's not going to move my containers. They're just going to be set in the spot that I locked them. I feel like we're going to get a ton of quality of life stuff like that next wipe. But yeah, overall, boys, I guess this is kind of a long video, but that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about. These are the top 5 changes that I'm excited for. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I know this is a bit of a rambling video, but I tried to be as quick as I can. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you like and comment. And wipe's coming soon. I'm really excited for this next wipe, so thanks for watching.